Привет. I'm Chuck Olinik. I'm a Ukrainian-American who was baptized with the name Yaroslav, which is also the name that I use in the historical reenactment group, the Society for Creative Anachronism. When I retired from teaching, I decided to employ the techniques of, well, what I picked up in reenactment, of telling the tales and sharing my knowledge in garb. And I decided that what I would do is explore topics that I didn't really get to explore that much while I was teaching, due to limitations in curriculum and that sort of thing. Something that I realized I had done years ago is I spent a lot of time doing research on Slavic mythology and folklore, and there was like a pile of notebooks this high, and the pile of notebooks just sat there. And I figured maybe I can make this knowledge more available by using a video format and putting up videos on my YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you happen to subscribe to this, that would be really nice. So I've been telling the tales of medieval Rus and of the Bogatiri, and I've been exploring some of the Rus history and putting the videos up in order to make the knowledge more accessible. So now here we are at the 64th video in the series I call Tales of the Borderland, and it's going to be the tale of Nightingale Budimirovich, the sailor hero. Now, Nightingale, that name shows up, and in different places and different parts of the folklore. And sometimes Nightingale is a villain, who has the powers to be able to control the whirlwind and all that sort of thing. This Nightingale is pretty much the opposite. When he comes to woo his lover in the tale, he comes across more like a gentle breeze. And authorities figure, they all pretty much agree that of the different characters in the tales of Prince Volodymyr's Kiev, and it's not the real Prince Volodymyr, he's a mixture between Saint Volodymyr and Volodymyr Monomach, and they've been kind of merged together to create sort of an Arthur figure. It's pretty much agreed by the authorities this character's story did not originate in Kiev. The character did not originate in Kiev. He could have been a Norman pirate. He could have been a merchant that came from Venice. He could have been there could have been a connection with like one of the Italian architects that came into Rus in the 12th century to do some work. But we have a tale of this character, and let's get into it. Who would tell us of the things of old, of the things that have been? Who would tell us of that Nightingale, of Nightingale, the son of Budimir, of Nightingale Budimirovich, the sailor hero? Lofty are the heights of heaven, and deep the ocean sea. Broad are the steppes over all of the south, fathomless the Dnipro's reefs. From beneath the oak, the damp oak, the willow bush, from the white curling bush, the crimson elm, flowed Mother Volga River. Past Kazan, Ryazan, and Astrakhan she flowed, and fell through her 70 mouths into the blue sea, the Turkish Sea. 'Twas not the storm clouds gathering, nor blue clouds rolling up, but 30 dark red ships, and 3 sailing from out the glorious sea. From Kadol's isle in the land of Ledeneds they ran over the many-bayed sea, with green curving lines of shore towards Mother Dnipro River. One ship, the fairest, sailed before as flies the falcon clear, and proudly she bore her head on high. Like a dragon fierce her prow was fashioned, her sides like the aurochs of Litva. In place of ears were 2 sharp spears, and little white ermines hung thereon. Her brows were rare black sables from Siberia, from Yakutsk, and her eyes fair jacinth stones. Rare gems, self-luminous were they, not for beauty, but for guidance in the dark autumn nights. Her mane was 2 red foxes, her tail 2 white sea bears. The sails and pennons on that dark red ship were of the silk of Samarkand. The cables and cordage likewise of that silk, that weareth not, teareth not, and the masts of gold, and the anchors from Siberia of Damascene steel. For, oh, my brothers, our ship was fair adorned. On the deck of that ship, that hawk ship, there was a green-tiled bower hung with the furs of foxes and martens and sables, and therein, sitting upon finely carved stools, Nightingale Budimirovich, and on his right was his mother, his lady mother, young Uliana Vasilyevna, and on his left sat his druzhina. He played the guzli for his mother to soothe her heart, and sang songs of Novgorod and of Jerusalem. He then began to pace, and he shook his yellow curls, and to speak to his druzhina. Brothers and brave guards of mine, hearken to your chieftain, and do the deed commanded. Take rods of iron and sound the reefs across the blue sea, and let not this ship come to harm. And so they obeyed his commands, and they measured the depths with rods of iron. But this did not satisfy Nightingale. He paced more, and now commanded his druzhina, climb atop the masts. Tell me, where is famous Kiev town? Is it far? Aye, young Nightingale Budimirovich, our chieftain, our lord, Kiev town is close at hand. Then he gave commandment that they should run into the harbor and cast out steel anchors upon the steep shores, and throw out 3 landing stages, one of red gold for Nightingale himself, one of silver for his good druzhina, and one of bronze for his lady mother, the honorable widow Uliana Vasilyevna. Then young Nightingale took his golden keys, and from his treasure chests, iron-bound, he drew great store of treasure, 40 forties of black sables, fox and marten skins without number, countless geese and swans, fine damask on which the red gold corrodeth not, the fair silver breaketh not. Not dear was the red gold, the pure silver upon that damask fair. That which was beyond price was the pattern from beyond the sea, of Nightingale's own devising. All these things he laid out on a dish of gold, and went to Prince Volodymyr's palace of white stone, to the banquet hall. There he crossed himself as prescribed, did reverence as enjoined, to all, to 2, to 3, to 4 sides, and to the royal Prince Volodymyr Bright Sun, fair sun, red sun, in particular, greeting him and his Princess Apraxia. Hail then, bold and goodly youth, spoke Volodymyr Bright Sun then. I know neither thy name nor country, nor whether thou be a Tsar or Tsarevich, a king or a crown prince, or a fierce Kazakh from the dawn. None of these am I, quoth the youth, but young Nightingale Budimir's son, from the blue sea, from the Isle of Kadol, in the land of Ledinets. Then he offered his gifts to Volodymyr and his princess. The princess was greatly pleased thereat, accepting and praising them all, and in particular the damask, the like of which, for richness and cunningness of device, was not in Kiev, nor ever had been. And the Princess Apraxia entreated Volodymyr that he would give Nightingale sweet viands, green wine, and sweet mead. So Volodymyr feasted and spoke in pleasure. Young Nightingale, what shall I bestow upon thee? Villages, golden treasures, cities? And Nightingale made answer, as he paced the banquet hall, none of these do I need, fair Prince Volodymyr. But I would ask that you allow me to build 3 golden-topped towers in the garden of Fair Love. Fair Love was the niece of Prince Volodymyr. Volodymyr made answer, as thou knowest, so do. Build as you will. Thank you, fair son, for my princely gift. Nightingale then commanded his druzhina to remove their fine garb and to build him the 3 towers, the golden-topped towers, in Fair Love's garden within a single night, so that he might spend the night there. And this they did. Early chimed the bells, when Love the Fair awoke from sleep, washed herself very white, and gazed from her latticed casement upon her garden green. And lo, a marvel presented itself to her. 3 gold-domed towers stood in her fair garden. Ho there, nurses and handmaidens mine, Love cried, come hither and view this marvel. But yestereden that hillock was bare, and now 'tis fully crowned. Prithee, dear Love, they answered, look thyself, for thy fate hath come to thy court. Then Love put her shoes in haste upon her naked feet, flung her robe upon one shoulder, and ran out to walk in her garden fair. When she came to the first, the grated tower, she heard a clashing and clinking, and listened there. 'Twas Nightingale's brave druzhina, telling over his countless treasures of gold. As she listened at the second tower of glass, she caught a whispering, the honorable young widow Uliana Vasilievna praying God for her dear son. And at the third tower of red gold was again clashing and great noise, for a fair young Nightingale sat therein on a stool of precious fish's teeth, playing upon his guzli and singing. String after string he plucked, accompanying his voice in songs from Novgorod and Jerusalem, and all the little ballads from beyond the blue Turkish sea, and Kadol's Isle, with its many bays and green incurving shores. The maiden rejoiced greatly, and was likewise greatly terrified, and listened all that day until eventime. Then she entered the lofty tower, and prayed God, and bowed to Nightingale. Nightingale returned her greeting, and she spoke, Young Nightingale, Budimir's son, thou art unwedded. Take me a fair maid to wife. To this Nightingale made answer, Thou art pleasing to me, maiden, in all things save this one. That I like not. Thou hast wooed a husband for thyself. This should not be, fair damsel. Better were it for thee to be at home, drawing water, milking the cows, feeding the calves. Upon that, with great shame, she turned and ran to her home. Then young Nightingale Budimirovich donned with speed his richest apparel, and went to Prince Volodymyr of royal Kiev in state to woo, seated himself in the great place, and spoke this word, Thou Prince of royal Kiev town, thou hast a much-beloved niece, young love. Give her to me for my wife." So Prince Volodymyr betrothed the fair maiden, his niece, young love, and the young people went to God's church to take the golden crowns. Then in haste did young Nightingale remove from Love's garden his golden crown towers, made all things as they were at first, and betook himself to his dark red ship, with his lady mother, his goodly Druzhina, and his fair young wife, and sailed away to his own land. There he dwelt henceforth, and his wife, in joy and peace. It was at the feast I heard this tale, there it was I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.